Live from a freshly refurbished Export Beer Garden studio and brought to you as always by Export Ultra, the beer for here. This is the Agenda podcast for Monday, the 16th of September.
The Agenda podcast, the home of sporting nonsense and claptrap. Brought to you by Export Ultra.
Brand spanker, Lane.
Woo! Smells new.
It does smell new.
Yeah.
I hope it sounds new. For those of you listening, we've just refurbished the studio. And by the studio, I mean there's now a set.
Yeah.
But it's in the same studio.
Yeah, it's got a good backdrop.
It's
Cut out all the light. We don't need the windows, do we?
No, God no. All that means is people can see in here.
That's right.
Like we said last week, we lifted the curtains for the first time in years.
Disgusting.
The place just about burst into flames when we did. So yeah, it's about time. Although I do notice now that I look at it that the curtains are actually up and you can't get back there to lower them. So that could potentially be an oversight. But if you want to see it, you can go and check it out on Instagram. Look up the Alternative Commentary Collective on Instagram, and you can be one of the 100 to watch it today. I've printed off 4 blank sheets of paper in front of me.
Yeah.
So what do you got?
I've got one piece of paper.
Yes.
It's got some writing on it.
Yes.
David Nyika.
Yes, we went and watched him fight. Yes. Saturday night.
Yep. Big runway. I tell you that, I was nervous about the runway. The first fight at 6:15. David Nyika at 11.
Yeah, not to be before 11.
Yeah. And look, we're talking about full catering as well, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we had young Isaac on the table, and geez, that bucket of beers and White Claws.
Yeah.
It went down, did it?
No, well, what I found out was happening was they were coming over and asking him and the notorious pants man Joel Harrison if the thing needed topping up. But I think at the same time, a different person was asking you if it needed topping up as well. So when we were ordering rounds of beers, we were doubling up on ourselves.
So yeah, it was a mountain.
And
they were getting warm. That's the problem.
This is the thing. It also created a bit of a turbo sort of effect where it started spooling up because people saw the amount of piss we had to get through and lifted their tempo to keep track with that. To the point where I actually had a spit take at one point where I ended up spitting my drink all over the long-suffering Lauren who was sitting next to me at the table because Joel Harrison is telling me a story about how he put $100 on David Nyika's fight. And he was paying $1.04. So he invested $100 and won $4, but it was actually a bonus bet, so he actually only won $2. I had the same reaction you just did then, but I had a mouthful of White Claw, and it went all over Lauren's brand new dress. So things got pretty pear-shaped there. And you mentioned the long runway. Long-time listeners of the ACC will remember spraying around Scotty.
Yes.
It was his 40th on the weekend.
Yes, and his 40th started at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah. So we were well and truly up for it by the time we got there.
Luckily, though, we left Spray It Around Scotty's party when we did because poor Joe got hit up by a person who was sticking up for the physio from England.
Yeah, right. Oh, that whole drama.
Yeah, got resurfaced.
Yeah, great.
Few beers. That's good.
Well, I'm glad we left. And so the fights themselves, there were 4 heavyweight fights on the undercard. 2 of them were 4-round fights. And I'd sort of I told you before we went in there, I love betting on boxing cards and MMA cards because you can bet on that fight, win or loss, then you can either reinvest or chase on the next one.
Yeah.
So it's quite fun punting ringside. And I got into the rhythm of things. I was like, I see how these fights are going. They're only 4 rounds. I'll bet on this next one to go the distance. And so I did, and they came out and said, these 2 gentlemen will be fighting for 10 rounds. I was like, 10? Oh, someone's going down. And so at that point, I was it's like betting the unders, like you're betting against excitement. So I was sitting there just sweating. Oh, don't knock him out, don't knock him out, don't knock him out. And it was a good fight in the end, and thankfully it did go the distance. I made a bit of coin on that one.
The highlight for me was the guy got smacked out of the ring.
Yeah.
I don't know what fight there was. Maybe the third fight of the night?
It was the third last. It was a big heavyweight, 2 boppers, and he got knocked basically unconscious, but was still sort of like staggering around, and his ass went out of the thing, and old mate just clobbered him again, and he went flying out of the ring like a WWE fight. That was definitely highlight of the night, wasn't it?
Oh, and seeing poor Karpency's kidneys burst live on stage.
Yeah, so a lot of people have been asking me this morning about how, was the fight a little bit disappointing? But David Nyika lit him up. like, I know the highlights didn't look that good because he just sort of took a knee and then the towel got thrown in and that was all she wrote. But it was a good fight. David Nyika did light that dude up.
Every time he hit his kidneys, there was a slap that went through the Viaducts Event Centre, and the crowd just went, ooh. Yeah, get everyone in there. It wasn't cheering, it was just like, ooh.
Yeah, it was. It was like watching a man hit the heavy bag as hard as he possibly could.
Yeah, a lot more females at the event than I was expecting. Any reason for that, do you think?
More than usual for a boxing card, you reckon?
Yeah. Well, it might be the David Nyika effect.
Yeah, it could be. If you haven't seen on the old Instagram thing, there was where they all came out, the walkouts there, a lot of people crowded around. I was like, I wonder if we can get a wee fist bump here on his way out, and just got hung out to dry there. But thankfully, the security guard, he saved the day. Came through with the fist bump.
Your fist was hanging out there like an old man's nappy, like that. And credit to you, he had well and truly blanked you, David Nyika, and you just kept the fist out there, like you were just like, I'm actually just paralysed. And then the security guard, he came back to you, and then like just felt sorry for you, delivered you a fist, and then you were like, sweet,
and then tossed me out. He, So David Nyika's family were on the other side, and so he went over to them. You can't see he's just out of shot, but I was waiting to see if he would turn around and then, but no, he didn't. So just utterly humiliated myself. Shout out to Jay Reeve for filming that.
He dined out on that as well. I saw him when I was on the way to the toilet, and he's like, check this out. Check Manaia. This is the best blank you'll ever see.
Yeah. It was tough to watch. I tell you what, if you're dusty, nothing will make you search your soul more than seeing footage of yourself getting blanked by David Nyika and the thing wearing a suit. As soon as we got there, so it was a black tie event. I don't know what the fuck that means. All I figured out is that black tie doesn't mean you actually have to wear a black tie, right?
Yeah, I think it's strongly recommended.
It's an indicator of the kind of, because dudes are in bow ties.
Yeah, but then there was dudes in t-shirts and shorts.
There were, yeah.
But they were the kind of people that I wouldn't have stopped at the door.
No, I think they were friends and family of some of the fighters.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them might have paid cash for their table.
Yeah. So I get there. First person we see, Laura McGoldrick, coming in off the long run up. She'd been at a ladies' lunch, ladies' long lunch, then she came steaming in. And she just walks up to me and grabs my shirt and goes, who the fuck wears a linen to a black tie event? I was like, Jesus, I didn't know what the rules were. I haven't been to a lot of black tie events, to be fair. This is the only shirt that fits me. I was like, oh, shit, I thought I was actually looking pretty good tonight.
I went into the toilet at one stage. I think it was probably 8 o'clock. And the toilets were chocker, full of urinals. And I just let out a big, woo, there's 3 hours to go, boys. And everyone was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I heard, get the fuck out of here, G Lane. Okay.
Yeah, I went in there, used the facilities, and as I was walking out, there was a line because there were half as many sinks as there were urinals.
Yeah.
The urinals were packed. I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to get away with this here. I'm just going to walk out.
You didn't wash your hands?
As soon as I walked out, I could just hear Mike Minogue from the back of the thing go, oh, Minogue, you grub! And so I walked out. As soon as I walked out there, producer Pugsley was there. He goes, oh, g'day, mate. Came over and shook my hand. I was like, so then, I saw Minogue later on. He said that's going to get about half an hour's worth of airtime on the big show this afternoon.
Washing hands at urinals after urinating.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Jason Hoyt doesn't wipe his ass after going to the toilet. So I suppose at that point you wouldn't need to wash your hands anyway. But I see that he's taken Instagram. Oh, David Nyika, he wants to go again for the end of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, he barely got punched.
No, not at all. I mean, and I think he said that when we were talking to him. He wants to, this road to the title, he wants to be fighting, every 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Having something on the card. So, by the end of the year, it'd be great to do it again.
Yeah, he's just going to need to find someone because I think, like, as good as that Karpency dude was at some point in his career, I think he was a bit of a shell of himself.
Yeah.
To be fair, he did fight only like a month or two ago, that Karpency fella, and then he took the fight on 3 weeks' notice, so he wasn't, in tip-top shape, but he got pieced up. It would be good to see him go against a little bit stiffer competition, maybe someone we've heard of, although I haven't heard of any of the people in the cruiserweight division, so be interesting to see, but I'd like to go again. There's something in the air when you're at the boxing. I will note though, it's something I noticed the last time I went to a boxing event. The crowd's way quieter. Like you can hear a pin drop in there for some reason.
Yeah, we had a friends and family table behind us of one of the fighters.
Yeah. They were going nuts when
my ears were ringing.
Yeah, for one of the fights, this girl was screaming the entire time. But for the rest of it, you could basically hear people's cutlery and shit. I think it's partly tension, partly the fact you're all sitting around tables.
You're having dinner. Yeah, that was a bit strange.
Yeah.
Eating a steak while some guy was getting his head pounded in about 10 metres away from you.
Yeah. I'd rather be here than in there.
Yeah.
But shout out to them and shout out to Juco for having us there as well.
Yeah, great night.
Hopefully if they get another fight, we can get David back in here. I can sort of air my grievance with him, just leaving me hanging.
Yeah, I can't wait to show him the video actually.
Yeah. Hopefully he's seen it. Hopefully he feels terrible about it. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and talk a bit more sport. I want to start with the Black Caps because they're playing Sri Lanka in the first of 2 tests this week.
Yes, Gaul on Wednesday.
These 2 tests are part of the World Test Championship.
Correct.
Which I've had a look at the standings at the moment. We sit 3rd on the ladder behind India and Australia. We've played 6 matches. Aussie have played 9 and India have played 12.
Yeah, I know.
It's ridiculous. But that works in our favour because the amount
win percentage.
It's win percentage.
Yeah.
It's the amount of points that were available. How many of those have you won? You get 12 points for a win. It's very cricket. It's very confusing. Duckworth-Lewis must have come up with this fucking system. We're on 36. I think Australia are on like 90. England have played 16 test matches. Yeah, which unfortunately drops them down to ranked 6th because they've had more opportunity to lose than anyone else.
Yeah, and they lose. When they lose hard because they go full baseball.
But the interesting part about this test is not that it starts on Wednesday. It's not that we're 3rd on the table. It's that we're taking a day off in the middle of it. Have you seen this? So it starts Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then they take Saturday off. Then they pick back up Sunday, Monday. So this is going to be a 6-day test all told because Sri Lanka's election is on the Saturday.
Oh, so no, they can't have any security there.
So they're taking the day off so everyone can go, I guess. Or maybe it's because they want to make sure that, enough people vote in the election.
Just set up a voting booth in the stadium.
Yeah. Have people vote on their way in.
I think it's more a security thing. Because I know in India, you cannot tour India during any sort of elections because they can't guarantee security for the event.
Right.
Because it's around the election. So I think it's probably more around that. But rain is forecast for the first 5 days of this test.
Awesome. Well, it's a 6-day test.
Yes, and the 6th day, beautiful sunshine.
Well, we're going to get one day of action and an election result.
I think they got better drainage in Gaul than they have in India. Gaul's been around for a long time. Beautiful stadium. It's got like a fort running around it next to the ocean.
Oh, I think I know the one, yeah.
And it's quite a ground that's quite close to Kiwis' hearts as well because when the tsunami hit, the Boxing Day tsunami, that ground got absolutely totaled. And New Zealand cricket and New Zealand were quite instrumental in rebuilding that, helping rebuild that stadium, and that ground. So it's an amazing place. It's like the location's awesome. Yeah, let's just hope it doesn't fucking rain the whole time.
Nah, or there's no tsunamis. Have you ever been to Sri Lanka before?
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but great things about Sri Lanka.
It is a great place. You have to ignore the fact that there was some sort of genocide happened up in the hills with the Tamils, but it is what you'd say a manageable India. Yeah, right. It's smaller. Yeah. You can kind of drive around. It's got some great beaches.
Great wildlife.
They've got like a safari park in the middle of it where you can go and see leopards and crocodiles and elephants and their native bird is a jungle fowl, which is a jungle chicken.
Oh, yes.
They've got heaps of these jungle chickens running around. And they've got tea plantations up in the mountains as well. They've got that famous train ride that all those Instagram wounders take photos of themselves on. Yep. I'd highly recommend it. It's like I was saying, if you're too scared to go to India because it's a mass of humanity, Sri Lanka is your more manageable. And their national sport?
Rugby.
Yeah. They fucking love rugby.
Really? They obviously suck at it, though, because they're never at the World Cup.
No, but you go over there and there's a lot of, contracted overseas players.
Yeah, right.
There, like loads of Fijian dudes.
Some Tongan gentlemen.
Yeah, because the military's quite big on rugby, so they got the strongest team. I was quite surprised. We had a guide when we were there because you pay $100 and you get a driver in a car and they take you around everywhere. And his favourite player was Richie McCaw. I sent him an All Blacks jersey afterwards. He was just the biggest Richie McCaw fan.
Yeah.
So weird going to Sri Lanka and you think it's all cricket, but it's not. It's rugby.
Yeah, it's full on. Yeah, no, I've got a lot of friends who've been there and sent rave reviews about it. Apparently, if you ask the right way, they're not averse to the whakamanas over there.
Oh, no, especially on the beaches, surf beaches.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Or apparently through the safari park where one of my friends allegedly had been offered the whakamanas and then stoned to the gills watching a leopard drag a deer into a tree. They're like, ah!
We went through the safari park with our guide and we hadn't seen a leopard.
Yeah.
And he was pretty gutted that we hadn't provided a leopard for us. So you have to be out of the park by 6 p.m. Otherwise the guides get fined and everything.
Yeah.
And it was well past 6 and he saw a leopard in the distance. And so we saw the leopard, took a photo, ran right past us, went onto the bush. And he's like, okay, we have to go now, but I just have to do one more thing. And he popped the boot of the Jeep open, put his hands all through the grease, greased up his face and everything all over his hands. And then bum rushed the gate and said he'd broken down and he had to fix the engine. Because I didn't know what he was doing. I was like, what's he doing? And then he was like, he was at the thing saying like broken down. I had to repair, I had to change the oil and he was just covered himself in shit. It was so good.
They would have seen him coming. Oh, fuck! Here comes old mate again.
Yeah, old mate's
he's
broken.
He's going to try the he's broken down excuse.
Yeah.
I can't be bothered with an argument today. Just let him go.
No, I highly recommend Sri Lanka if you get a chance. Get over there, you fly into Colombo and you get the fuck out of there and head straight up to kind of Kandy up in the mountains, Gaul down the coast. If you're a surfer, they've got great surf beaches.
Maybe that should be one of our next trips.
Yeah, and that's where they fish off the poles. You see those dudes standing on poles?
Oh, yeah.
That's where they do that.
Oh, far out.
It's crazy. They just sit at the top of this pole
Terrifying.
just catching tiny fish and just sticking it into, get a boat.
Like pilchards.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff. The NPC across the weekend. You will be heartbroken to know that Tasman retained the shield. Wellington did not win. It was like almost the last-minute buzzer beater try to a bloke by the name of Kyron Tomoifilo. It was a tremendous try, like individual effort, broke away, made something out of nothing, and then won it. Unfortunately, does that mean we've cursed Wellington?
Yeah. Well, look, Brad Shields, nice guy.
Yeah.
Terrifying man.
Yes.
I wouldn't want to get on his bad side.
You may have.
You're correct. Yeah, because he did say, we said, well, you said we'll talk to you after you win the shield.
I was hoping this wouldn't be brought up.
Yeah. And then he said, have you just cursed us? We're like, nah, we don't have a history in cursing.
No. Yeah, I did say, well, if you win the shield, you'll have to come on this weekend. And I was saying after we interviewed him, I was like, I only said that because if they lose, he's not going to want to come on here and talk to us.
No.
So please welcome Brad Shields to the show. No, just joking. He's not on.
I think Tasman have got it for the summer.
You reckon?
That's my vibe because I think that was their biggest threat. There was the 2 unbeaten teams and they closed them out. So I can't see Tasman losing it.
No. That is. I mean, look, I don't think we cursed them, but selfishly, I am grateful that it is staying in the South Island because that's now a bus trip for South Canterbury. Who gave me a heart attack over the weekend?
Oh, did yours come in?
No, it didn't. So on our three-way, I think Carl's horse did.
Oh, yeah. I don't care about Carl anymore.
Neither do I. We can't catch him.
Yeah, my cricket one didn't come in. They hit 7 sixes, Australia, not more than 8.5, which was disappointing.
I had South Canterbury to minus 19.5. They were playing North Otago. They were down by 20 points at halftime. And I checked that and I was like, fuck me, this could be it. And then they came back and won it. And I just think like we're going to have to, I think we have to get their coach or something on because it must be terrifying having, I think it's like almost 40 games on the trot now.
You're a target.
Yeah,
you're a target for everyone. That's what Auckland were for years during the 80s.
Yeah.
When they had the shield. They were a target for everyone.
Yeah. But, and like obviously I know you never plan to lose a game of rugby anyway, so like it's not going to impact it that much, but they must be getting the speed wobbles now. We'll have to get them on later on. But in other rugby news, we didn't talk about it on Friday, but the news came out that they are changing the finals format for Super Rugby next year. Do you understand it?
I like to think I do.
Yeah.
To the point of the ranking things. So 6 teams qualify.
See.
First plays 6, second plays 5th. That kind of thing. But first and second have a second chance? What? Something like that?
No. So whoever loses one of the losing teams, whoever the highest ranked losing team is, gets a second chance the next week.
Okay. So if number 1 beats 6, but 2 loses to 5, 2 gets another hoon.
So there's going to be 3 winners that go through to the next round. They need one more to make up, and it's the highest ranked of the losers.
Why do they do this to us?
It's so stupid. And I saw, my first instinct was, and it was, I've seen other journalists write this, I think Dylan Cleaver had the same point, was they just wanted to copy NRL, but because they're rugby, they have to be like, we didn't copy NRL, we come up with our own one.
Yeah.
So they've made a shitter version of what the NRL has.
Yeah.
Because the NRL one is confusing. I have to look at the picture to be able to understand what's going on. But the top 2 ranked teams, if they win their first match, or the top 4, sorry, they get a bye the next round. That's what you're playing for.
Yeah.
And then if you lose, you get a second bite of the cherry the next round.
Yeah.
You get to stay in. That makes sense. So what you're playing for is a bye next week. And if you lose, then you have to fight for your life the following week. That I can understand. What I can't understand is, so one plays sit, but then if they win, now you're waiting on the next game because if that team wins, now you could go through. But if the other team wins, now you're out because of the rankings. I don't know. Hopefully it makes teams jockeying for position a bit more intense throughout the season.
They want it because you want to secure 1 or 2, don't you?
Yeah.
That's because that's your lifeline.
Yeah, even 3, because if you lost and you were third, no one else would lose but be higher ranked than you.
Oh, yeah, because if 1 and 2 win.
Yeah, but then
3 plays 4.
The thing is, and I hate when people come out and say, oh, it's not that confusing. Like, it's actually really easy to understand. It's like, you can't just say that because it's fucking not. I don't understand it, you know? So you can tell me that I should until the cows come home. I'm fucking not. And this is what we're going to have to deal with all next year. Well, hang on. So they win, but then they lose.
At least they've reduced it to 6. I mean, but they've had to, haven't they?
Yeah, they had to because you
There's
can't
11
have
teams.
Yeah, well, there's 11 teams. Teams were making the playoffs that had won like 2 games. It was a bit ridiculous. And just quickly on sport as well, the Black Ferns lost over the weekend 24-12 in front of 41,500 people at Twickenham. Did they curse themselves by hugging the king?
Well,
Is that a curse?
is that a curse? I don't know. I don't know if he holds any sort of sway, does he, old King Charles? Big
maybe.
trophy head.
Maybe not. I'm just trying to grasp at straws for some sort of.
Is he shrinking
curse.
and his appendages are getting bigger? His fingers are getting fatter. His ears are getting bigger.
It certainly seems that way, doesn't it? God, could you imagine what his feet look like? King Charles, get the dogs out. We need to see it. The people need to know.
But like 24-12, that's not. Cause they were expected to potentially struggle a little bit against the world number 1 in Twickenham. So.
Yep.
24-12 sounds like they gave it a good. I didn't see any of it,
No.
did you? But it sounds like that scoreline doesn't.
They gave it a good nudge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think this is panic bells, but we do love to just hit the panic button whenever a New Zealand rugby team loses.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll get to yours, please.
Yours, please. Brought to you by Leader, home of the lasagna topper.
We have 4 to get through. First caller, yours, please.
Lads, I'm sitting in the pub watching the AFL and I just had a brainwave. G Lane looks like Travis Skelf. Travis Skelf. If G Lane looked after himself. Too many fucking knife parties in his life and brain cancers. Anyway, hooroo. Fuck whatever team Travis Skelf plays for.
Jeez,
Oh, look, I'll take that.
Paddy Gale's really tying one on there.
Yeah, he is. Fuck, Paddy, just calm down, mate. Okay.
You'll take Travis Kelce?
Yeah, I'll take Travis Kelce. Trevor's.
Oh, powerful stuff. The amount, honestly, we're not going to play them all, but we got so many drunk voicemails over the weekend.
Well, it's
And
a good outlet.
I was saying in the office, I feel like we've saved at least 3 women from receiving a drunk call
Yeah, that's so true.
over the weekend.
I digress a little bit, but I got home after the fight.
Yeah.
And, you come home, you try and be quiet. You kind of you remove most of your items of clothing elsewhere. So you
Yeah.
get the jingle jangle of the belt and the wallet and everything.
I do it downstairs.
Yeah, I did it downstairs. And then a couple of glasses of water, brushed my teeth downstairs using one of my kids' toothbrushes. and then, like, up the stairs, get into the room, and all I got was downstairs. And I was like, back down to Frank's room, My youngest child, who has taken my position in the marital bed. He's starfished, because that's what she says. He's in here. Get back downstairs.
He knew.
So I went back down to the kids' room. And she got saved from me wounding her with,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Was it that voice that's been awake for, like, she hadn't just woken up then?
No.
That one's terrifying when you come home. And
it's dark and you get there.
Yeah.
You can go downstairs and sleep.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's not I've been awake for hours with this kid.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, powerful stuff. All right, another caller here. Yours, please.
Oh, was a doubter. I thought the Game of Two Halves was going to be another rip-off because I'm old school and you could never beat that thing, but I just watched it and Jesus Christ, that was actually quite good. Loved it, pretty much. And fuck South of Canterbury.
Well, there we go. It was a compliment.
Great feedback. Should we send that to Sky? Do you reckon they'll use that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, on the next trailer. Yep. So Game of Two Halves back again this Thursday, 8:30.
Yep. We can see when these voicemails are sent in. That was 2:40 in the morning. So,
and look, that was good honest feedback because he's obviously had a few. And when you've had a few, you tend to let the filters come down, but he was complimentary. So.
Yeah, you also enjoy things a bit more, I think, when you've had a skinful. He should probably watch it again in the stark daylight. But thank you for that. Great honesty, great feedback, and I will send that through to Sky, see if they use it at all for a promo. Another caller here, yours, please.
G'day, fellas. After watching that Storm Sharks game, I'm just putting it out there. I don't think Jerome Hughes gets enough love as a great New Zealander. He's been pulling the strings for the Storm all year. Debatably one of the players in the league. Whenever he plays for the Kiwis, he's absolutely phenomenal. But we don't seem to claim him as one of our own. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's because he lives...
Fuck Temuka.
Yeah,
good call.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, fuck Temuka. Terrible. Probably the worst part of South Canterbury, to be honest, if I had to pick one. What were we talking about? Jerome Hughes. I think it's because he lives in Melbourne.
Right.
Any dude that lives in Australia, you kind of forget that they're Kiwi a lot of times. Dudes that have been in the NRL for years, you're like, oh, fuck, that's right. It's only when they come back and play for the Kiwis that you remember he's actually a New Zealander. So, yeah, I agree with that caller. And I think if he really wants to solidify himself as a great New Zealander, he's going to have to come home and play for the Warriors. So, Jerome Hughes, if you're out there listening to this, come home.
I doubt it.
It's the only way. It's the only way. I'll give you a fist bump. One last one. Caller yours, please.
G Lane.
Yes.
Wellington fan here. Keep your filthy curs away from our teams in future. All right. Thank you. And Manaia. Cassowaries are just like all Australians. They're fucking thick. You do one easy. Honestly, they're disappearing at an alarming rate. They're so stupid. You'll take it one. No worries at all. All right. Be a tidy Kiwi.
Thank you.
That's a good way to win that. Be a tidy Kiwi.
Yeah,
you know?
it was.
It's a lot more wholesome than fuck South Canterbury.
Yeah, unfair on you. It wasn't you that cursed them.
No.
If it was anyone, it was me.
But I was in the room.
You were in the room, so by proxy, your curse does get... And the first bit of positive support that I've had against this cassowary.
That one of against many, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one. It's good to have someone in your corner. And look, Wellington, I know you're hurting. If you're looking for someone to blame it on, you can blame it on us. Mm-hmm. It's not really our fault, but we'll take it.
And also, you got Auckland FC coming for your title as well on the football front.
Blame that one on us.
Yeah.
All right, let's knock this one on the head for a debut for the new set.
It's not really finished though, is it? There's some stuff that's going to go into here.
There'll be like a painting, I presume.
Yeah, some sort of painting or a mural,
a logo, a neon.
Neon might blow out the camera. But anyway, it's kind of 80% done.
Baby steps. All right, thanks for joining us today on the Agenda Podcast. We'll be back tomorrow for a Tuesday episode of the Agenda Podcast. We'll see you then.
You've been listening to the ACC's Agenda Podcast, brought to you by Export Ultra. For more episodes, like and follow on iHeartradio or wherever you get your podcasts.